Now we have our devices all registered and we're ready to create our class lists. To create your class list or your student roster, so then you can assign clickers to the students, you go to the browser menu over here. If you do not have the browser menu showing, if it's gone for some reason, to find any menu, go to View, Browser, and it'll pop up. Go to the browser, and then the last icon on the browser menu is the voters. So go ahead and click on Voter, and then right here on Voter, we are going to click on that one with the little icon and the cue card right there. That's going to be our database. Right here on our database, we can see that we have no students at this moment. So let's click on Edit Database, because that's going to let us create this. Now when we look at our database creation, what we need to do is create a class name, then create class students, and then when we have a name and the classes, we're going to add the students to it. So let's first add a class, and you can add as many classes as you want. So if you're high school, middle school, and you have periods in the day, you could put one for each period of the day. I'm just going to call mine math, but you could name it period 1, period 2. You do have to have a teacher name, so I'm just going to put my last name in. There's my class. Or if you're in the elementary and you do switch groups, you can put the different switch groups in there. The next thing, and you can create as many classes as you want. The next thing we need to do is add students to our population. So to add students, this is kind of cumbersome where we got to do it one at a time. So if you do not have a large class 24, it won't seem that bad. High school teachers, it might be a little more difficult, and I'm going to make another video clip that'll show you how to import people into it, but there's some steps to it, so it's kind of a toss-up if it's easier. Click on Add Student. When you click on Add Student, this window pops up right here. The things you have to have in this window is a last name, first name, and a student ID. This has to be authentic, the student ID, to every student, so that could cause a problem on a few things. For the last name, what I simply do is if the last student's name is Anderson, I would just put A1. And then I put in their first name. We'll say John. Oops. John. And then for student number, if you had their student numbers there or other things, you could do that. Or if it was periods in the day, you could just put P1, P2, things like that. What I used to do for my classroom, but I was elementary and I only had 30 students, I'd put M for my last name and 1. And the next student would be M2, M3, M4. You could put in full student ID numbers if you wanted and things like that. They just have to be authentic. Does it matter if it's anything particular? No, it doesn't. So this doesn't have to be anything precise because it has no relevance other than keeping order of your database. So we just need an authentic student number, student ID there. And then once you do that, you just hit submit. I never put anything for the birth date or the gender. I just leave everybody as the offset. And then there's your first student. Then we just click and do our next one. If this student's name also started with A, I would do A2. Then I'm just going to name my next student. And then here's where my student ID comes in, M2. And then notice I'm just going to leave everything else. There they are. And then as you just keep going and adding your students, we'll just say A3 is my next one. And then of course I would be the M3 here. But notice, watch when I put M2. I'm going to put M2 and I already used that student number. If I hit submit, it won't do anything. The reason why is that's pretty much saying we already have this information and you got to give us something new. So when I hit M3, it'll submit. So there you can see I have 3 students registered. You just keep going down the list and registering all your students. Once you have all your students in, then you just need to add them. You would click and highlight your class. So the first step, make sure you have your class highlighted. Then you would select the student. Notice how my name on my class still is grade. Select the student, or you could do the old control. I want this kid and that kid. Or you could do the old shift. I want all those. Whatever way you can do it, or you could do it one at a time. And then we come down to the arrows and we say add. So now I've added to this class that one student. If we wanted to add another one, we could just click, hit the arrow in, and go. If you ever have a class you want to remove a student, it's just as simple as click on the student and remove. So add and remove is pretty simple with just those arrows. Let's put these 3 people in, add them, and then hit add student. Oops, not add student, add in there. So there we go.